Welcome back to episode 17 of the Hoop Life Productions podcast. I'm here with Chance. Chance, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Hopefully you guys appreciated the clap. This is Mock Draft 2.0 that we'll be doing today. We already did one in the past, and you guys...
And it popped off.
Yeah, seemed to really like it in comparison to the last few videos that we put our blood, sweat, and tears into.
But, we got like 3 views.
Yeah, but we're doing 1 through 14 as usual. Just it's not far enough into the season and to see, like, we can't just sit here and do 1 through 30 and pretend that we know about all these guys completely.
But we're pretty confident about the guys that are probably going to go on the lottery.
Yeah, we're getting more on them every day, and some guys are looking better, some guys are looking worse. So we're excited to do it, and hopefully you guys like this one just as much. You better.
Yeah, that was the one that helped our channel grow probably the most.
Yeah, for sure. So, you want to go right into it here? Or?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so you said I'm doing odds and you'll do the evens? Is that the plan here?
Well, your Thunder are an even pick.
Yeah.
So you want me to do the odds?
Yeah, go ahead. Do the odds.
Okay. Since I have the honors with the first pick in the Hoop Life Productions Mock Draft 2.0, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Cade Cunningham out of Oklahoma State. Big shocker there.
Yeah.
It seems like every mock draft has him going first overall, especially if the Timberwolves grab him. He's 6'7", 220. Obviously, really high upside with him. This season for Oklahoma State, he's averaging 20 points, 6.5 boards, along with 3 assists and a block and a steal and a half. So he's having a really productive year for Oklahoma State team that's actually playing pretty well lately. I think they're ranked in the top 25, and Cade Cunningham has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, for sure. He was he sealed off they had that game, the big game against Oklahoma last week, and he was great that game when he had 40 points.
He's come to play for the big games, which is obviously really good for his draft stock. And on Minnesota, where do you see his fit?
Anywhere, because they're garbage.
That's why they get the first pick.
They're in such a bad position that they just take whoever they can here. Like, nobody's safe.
This guy available?
Yeah. And where do I see him in Minnesota? Hopefully on the trade block.
We feel bad for him going to Minnesota.
But, he would come in right away and be the main ball handler. D'Lo's always been able to play off of other guards, and he's not a long-term solution for them anyway. So, just come in.
Sorry to interrupt, but if the Timberwolves hit the reset button, they have a backcourt of Cade Cunningham and Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Going forward. And, not much else, especially if they trade Towns too. Which Towns is one of those guys where I could see him being that next guy up to request a trade. What do you think? Because that situation in Minnesota just doesn't seem like it's going to be solved, and by the time he's in his prime, he's not going to be want to be on a losing team in Minnesota.
Yeah, I think he's in his prime already at this point. And he's just been going. First of all, shout out to Karl-Anthony Towns just for playing. He's been through so much in the last year and a half, and it does not help to be on the Minnesota Timberwolves while going through all that stuff. So if I were him, I'd be out of there as soon as possible because we all want to see him play winning basketball. And maybe Cade Cunningham can be the turnaround for them to make that winning basketball. But with organizations, it always starts top down, and they need a reset. And
everywhere.
Maybe Cade Cunningham can be part of that.
Honestly, I hope they relocate.
Yeah. Who cares about Minnesota? It's so cold there. And,
why is Minnesota in the Western Conference, first of all?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
It's like right across the lake from us in Michigan.
Yeah, it's like a 40-minute boat drive.
If they do relocate, I hope it's Seattle or something, or Las Vegas.
Yeah, Seattle, Vegas.
Anything but Minnesota.
A team in Kentucky has always been something I'd want to see. But yeah.
Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville specifically. But yeah,
Louisville Sluggers.
Cade Cunningham, the obvious number 1 pick. Moving on to number 2.
And you're picking for my Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, so now we can talk about an
Pressure's on. Who do you got?
So since we're done crapping on a bad organization in Minnesota,
we'll
go
to an
elite one. Yeah, we'll talk about another one here, the Detroit Pistons. We're in a situation where, again, they can take anyone because their best player, Jeremy, at power forward, I mean, like, even him, he's not a guy to, avoid taking the best player here. But we had them taking Jalen Green, the second pick. He's my favorite player in the entire draft. Has been for a while, and he's continued. He's looking really good in the G League. He's on the same team as Caminga, isn't he? On the Ignite. Yeah. He's
both will be top 5 picks easily.
He's 6'6", 178 pounds. He's averaging just at 20 points a game, 4.6 rebounds, basically 4.5, 3 assists and a half a block with almost 2 steals. He just does everything for you, and he's gonna be. I think he's one of those guys that's made for this league. Like he's a scorer, and anybody can. Like, what did Luka Doncic say? He said that scoring in the NBA has been easier for him just because of the way that the spacing, and I think he's gonna be one of those types of guys because. For one, like he's extremely explosive, but his shooting, like his ability to score, he reminds me of a Donovan Mitchell in a way.
Yeah. If he puts on a little bit of muscle, like watch out, because this guy is one of those dudes that could be one of the top scorers in the league if he really puts his mind to it and he fulfills his potential. In terms of his game, he's super explosive, plays with a great pace, finishes at the rim really well above guys that are, bigger than him.
Much bigger.
Great scoring instincts. Can hit the 3 at a pretty high clip, and then he obviously has that great pull-up game from mid-range and from 3. Just some areas he can improve on. Like I said, he needs to put on a little bit of muscle, and at times he could be a little ISO-heavy ball stopper type of guy. And he needs to prove that he can make his teammates better. And along with that, he's streaky at times, but every player has their flaws, and those are just some of them for Jalen Green, but the upside is pretty awesome.
Kind of reminds me of and this is a compliment because this guy was really nice at this time, like a Denver J.R. Smith in a way. Mm-hmm. Like he does everything well, but he's going to be, you can already see he's probably going to be really streaky in the league. And he's just a freak athlete with a great jumper. So
in terms of his fit on Detroit, let's talk about that. You pair him with probably Killian Hayes is the future point guard there. It's not certain, but when you take, Hayes with the 7th pick last year,
you got to give him time.
You hope he's your franchise point guard, and then Jalen Green pairing them, the upside in that backcourt's pretty awesome, and then, the rest of the young guys there, he kind of fits the timeline, and I think it's a good situation for him because Dwayne Casey's a guy that's known for, getting the most out of what he's got.
Yeah.
Obviously, Detroit's the second worst team in the league, but their roster
is
terrible.
The college team.
He's getting a lot out of Mason Plumlee. He's getting a lot out of DeLon Wright. He's getting a lot of Dennis Smith Jr., who a lot of people read off. So I like Jalen Green's situation in Detroit.
Yeah, I think.
And I'd be ecstatic if the Pistons chose him.
Do you think Jalen Green has solidified himself as the number 2 guy right now? As of right now?
No. I don't know if anyone in the top 5 is
I think Cade
Besides, Cade's maybe just slightly above, but it's not one of those drafts where you're it's not like
Ben Simmons.
It's not a Shaq or where you get the first pick, you're we got this guy, let's go.
Yeah.
It's most likely gonna be Cade, but it's not a foregone conclusion.
No.
I would say on most people's boards it's Cade Cunningham followed by Evan Mobley, the center.
Yeah,
Evan Mobley. We'll talk about a little bit later, but
we'll get to him.
I have the 3rd pick. So the Houston Rockets are on the clock, and they take Jalen Suggs, the combo guard out of Gonzaga, having a really good year for the Zags, and they're undefeated. They have a ton of talent, the number 1 team in the nation. I have him at 18 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2.5 steals a game. So that's a great freshman season for him, and he's going to be a top 5 pick because of it.
Kind of came out of nowhere, right? Not out of nowhere. He was a highly ranked prospect in high school, but not like these other guys.
I didn't think he would be this good in his first season.
Me at all.
But, he's in a great situation with Gonzaga. Their competition isn't great during conference play. But they did beat some good teams in non-conference.
Gonzaga has always been like a Villanova. They just always come to play. Like they've always.
Yeah, they're always up there.
Yeah, for sure.
In terms of his strengths, he has a high. It's a lot of strengths. There's not many improvement areas with him. He's one of the most NBA ready guys. He has a high basketball IQ. Obviously, we've seen the playmaking ability. He's a plus defender. He's improved his shooting over the last few years. He's a proven winner, a tough player, explosive leaper, great in transition, and then he can play off the ball too, which is an asset that I really like in an NBA player.
Yeah, if I kind of compare him to like a. I think there's always a guy we always compare to Jason Kidd, but if it's anyone, it's this guy. He just does everything right, but one strength is, like you said, his shooting is really improved, and if he can have a solid jumper coming into the league, he's going to be really good.
Yeah, that's like the one thing that he could still improve on, and that's why I've got a few things in the improvement areas. Not a lot, but he's a streaky shooter right now. I know at the beginning of the year he was above 40%, but now he's below that plateau. He's pretty average length for a modern day point guard. And then he can also improve his finishing in traffic. So that's pretty much what I had as improvement areas. And then a projected role, he's going to be a franchise point guard, I would think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's not a lot in this draft, like point guard wise, guys at the top, Kim and Cade. And there's another guy that I absolutely love that we'll talk about later. But, I mean, franchise point guard is what you would hope to see out of him. I mean, he's one of the top guys here, so for sure.
And on Houston, it may take a couple years because obviously they have John Wall
and
but
all sorts of
but
crazy
at the same
stuff.
time, you can pair Jalen Suggs in the starting lineup at like the 2 or the 1 because, like I said, he can play off the ball. So he definitely is going to be a really good player at the next level. And you have the 4th pick. Who do the Orlando Magic take?
All right, so guy that I loved coming out of college for the Magic was Jonathan Isaac. But sadly, he's as fragile as anybody in the league.
Made of glass, yeah.
So I think they're taking another guy that reminds me of him a lot, but is definitely a better shooter as of now, in Jonathan Caminga. 6'8", 210-pound forward he's in the G League. He plays on the Ignite, same team as Jalen Green, as we mentioned before. He's averaging 17.8 points a game, basically 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, and 1 steal. Definitely has the potential to be the best defender in this draft. He's kind of like he's kind of like the Patrick Williams of this draft.
I was gonna say that.
The Jonathan Isaac, like I already mentioned, like there's always one guy that's like that coming out. OG Anunoby, he's that type of guy. Any team would love to have him. He's one guy that I was kind of hoping would fall to my Thunder, but we just can't lose. So we're down here at the 8th pick, you know. One of his best strengths, like I already said, is his defense, but he has really impressive quickness for his size. He's getting his jumper down out to the point where I'd call that a strength at this point, which is huge for him because we see a lot of guys come out that are like really good defensive, but they're almost projects in a way because they can't shoot at all, and he's not in that at all. And I think him and Mobley, who we'll talk about next, well, spoiler alert, is kind of like the last guys that are like could go 1 depending if a team falls in love with them. He's one of my favorite players in the draft, and I think the Magic can't just keep waiting for Isaac to get healthy.
And Aaron Gordon to actually be good.
Yeah, Aaron Gordon to actually be good, which I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. So, yeah, at 4, we have them taking Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah, I think it's a good situation pairing him with a lot of the young talent they already have. And then if they're trading Aaron Gordon this offseason, which I think they will, Caminga can come and start right away and play a big role for them and hopefully get them back on the playoff track. In terms of his strengths, he has an incredible frame for a small forward or a small ball 4. He's got an impressive combination of quickness, strength, and fluidity. He's got shot-making potential that he hasn't quite reached, but he's got good shooting mechanics, and then on the defensive end, his potential is endless.
Through the roof, yeah.
In terms of his improvement areas, decision making, he tends to have a lot of turnovers. He's not quite polished offensively like a lot of the guys on our list, but
I'm interested about one thing that you have for his improvement area.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you about it when you say it.
Okay. Not easy to play with, I've heard. That's what everybody's saying. He can drive out of control at times with his head down and stuff like that. And then he needs to show a winning impact. Body language and approach to the game are in question.
Yeah, is that like a thing? Like, are they saying that about him?
That's what the scouts are saying. And that's really a part of growing up in life. Right. And basketball is a lot like life. If your approach to the game has a lot to do with your production. Mm-hmm. And if his approach to the game doesn't ever reach to the point where he's comfortable with what he's doing, then I don't think he'll ever reach his full potential.
I think that was kind of like the same problem that they said about Wiggins coming out. Like, he just hooped. He didn't really seem to, he was just on the floor. And
yeah, he doesn't necessarily play with that passion that you would like to see out of a top player.
I think that body language can be sometimes mean nothing. Like, sometimes it ends up being nothing. And then
sometimes it just could be the situation that they're in currently, but not in the future.
Then sometimes it's the very opposite. Like, sometimes you're like, why didn't we notice this right away? A guy like Wiggins. They said that about Anthony Edwards too, but we got to give him more time, obviously.
Yeah, but if he reaches his full potential, I see him being one of the best two-way forwards in the league in his career. And that moves us to the Sacramento Kings at pick 5, and like I said earlier, we got them taking Evan Mobley, the center/power forward out of USC. He's having a great freshman season, 17 points, 9 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 3 blocks a game, and 1 steal. So as you can see, he's a great rim protector.
Best big man in this draft for sure, right?
Yeah, no question. He's an ideal build for a modern-day center. Great coordination. He's quick and explosive for his size. He's a threat with lobs, a lot like Capella. And he even has range out to the three-point line, which is something I get really excited about with centers.
Yeah.
Great hands, good touch around the rim. Like I said, he can protect the rim, and he can switch on defense in the pick and roll. So a lot of things will translate for him in the NBA, I think.
Do you think if they take him here at 5, which is very likely if they end up with the 5th pick, that means they're moving on from Marvin Bagley?
I think they could move on from Marvin Bagley before.
Regardless, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen any Kings games, but Marvin Bagley just doesn't look like he belongs with that team.
Yeah.
Maybe another team, but on that Kings team, I just can't.
There's a lot going on with him. Like, for 1, health. 2, not living up to expectations. 3, on a bad fit. And 4, he's got a dad who, does a lot of talking. I don't know if you know about all that, but, yeah. So hopefully they find a solution for the whole Bagley thing, but, like I said, it's not a guy that you don't avoid taking Evan Mobley because you got Marvin Bagley. So
yeah, Evan Mobley falling to 5 is a huge steal for the Kings because in most mock drafts he's going in the top 2 to Detroit.
They'd start a nice core there with Fox, Halliburton, and Mobley. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, you got something to work with, and then you probably move on from Buddy Hield and see what you can get from him. But Evan Mobley would be a franchise big for them and start right away.
Yep. And
who do you have Washington taking at 6?
So for the Wizards here, I think they take the best athlete overall in the draft, in Scotty Barnes. Dude's a freak athlete. And, he's only 19 years old, from Florida State. He's forward, 6'9", 227 pounds, putting up 15 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, a little under 1 block, and 2.3 steals a game. He just does it all. He really stuffs the stat sheet. His athleticism is out of this world, which it has been since high school. I remember him being a stud there in high school. But some of his biggest strengths are his defense, his frame. He's a great facilitator. He has the ability to guard 1 through 5 potentially, which there's not a lot of guys in the league that can legitimately guard 1 through 5. We say that about a lot of guys, but there's only a handful of them, and
he's doing it on his college team.
And if he comes into the league and does that right away, it doesn't matter what happens with his offensive game. Like, he can instantly play a big role if he can facilitate and play 1 through 5.
Yeah, the potential of Scotty Barnes gets me really excited.
Me too.
He's like a 6'9" point guard.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like a frame of Ben Simmons coming out of college, but like a better jumper. It's not where it needs to be, but there's a lot of upside in there. Like you said, he's an incredible playmaker for his size at 6'9", 230 pounds. And then, like, being able to guard 1 through 5 is so rare. And, like, when you talk about the NBA where teams are switching in the pick and roll and on defense, he can fit right into that seamlessly. And you could even run your offense through him if you have shooting around him. I don't think his jumper is where it needs to be, and that's one of his improvement areas, along with being a limited scorer. He cannot lack explosiveness at times, and then off the dribble he does lack burst. So, there's a lot of strengths with this guy, but there's also a lot of flaws. So, depending on the situation he goes into is really how I see his career going.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you said his projected role is like a two-way point forward.
Yeah.
I mean, any team could love to have that, right?
Yeah. It's a rare. He has like a rare archetype. I think.
Which I think is a thing.
Nobody in this draft is quite like that.
For sure.
And then I have the Cleveland Cavaliers in the lottery again. At pick 7, I have them taking Jalen Johnson, the 6'9" forward out of Duke. The first Duke Blue Devil off the board this year. They usually go a little bit earlier, but Duke's not quite having the season that they are used to having. But
I read a thing earlier. It kind of depressed me as a Michigan State fan. It's like there's a chance this year that we're going to see Duke and Michigan State in the first 4. Like, not the final 4, the first, like we're just...
First 4 out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just then disappointing to see Duke and Michigan State where we're at, but...
It's also a weird year, so I wouldn't read too far into it.
Yeah, but...
In terms of Jalen Johnson, he actually recently left the team.
Yeah, it's a weird situation.
I don't know what the situation is there, but it is a red flag. Like, him leaving his team early. I know they're not having a great season, but for him to leave them, that kind of raises questions about his, like, just being a good teammate. Honestly, that's as simple as that. A lot of teams could pass on him because they don't want a bad teammate on their team.
And it could be a situation where, like, he talked to his teammates and he stepped out the way, and none of them have any hard feelings. Like, we don't know, we're not in the locker room, but it could also point to a red flag. It was something we'll have to wait and see, but it's definitely something we could look back on if he has even a slight locker room problem in the league. So I don't think it's a great.
I think his talent is endless, and that's going to be the reason somebody takes him in the top 10. He's got a good combination of size, strength, and athleticism. Good instincts on both sides. Great rebounder for his position, and a great handle for his size. And then in transition, this is where he really excels with his change of pace. So there's a lot of skills that will translate in the NBA for sure with Jalen Johnson. But then his improvement areas is he's got kind of an unorthodox jump shot, which is a bit of a red flag. But like we've seen guys with weird jump shots just be able to put the ball in the hole anyway, and then he's too predictable at times on the offensive end, and then he's turnover prone as well. So there's strengths with this guy, but there's a little bit of flaws with him too.
For sure. I mean, he's one of the last big men in this draft. He has the potential to obviously be a great player. We have to see. I think, like you said, the biggest worry is just his personality. Like, we don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. In terms of his fit on the Cavs,
I mean,
I think they're going to play a little bit small ball next year.
That's what the league's going towards, so it's nothing crazy to do at this point.
Yeah, a lineup of Garland, Sexton, Okoro, Jalen Johnson, small ball 4, and then Jared Allen. That's a pretty good lineup for the future. I don't know if they're going to make a playoff run, but I mean, that's something there. A lot of upside for sure.
So moving on to my favorite thing about this entire list. We have my Oklahoma City Thunder taking... Man, I am in love with this guy's game. Like, he's literally my favorite. I have a draft crush every year, but this is like the biggest one since Semi Ojeleye. And it's Sharif Cooper, 19-year-old guard out of Auburn. He's undersized at 6'1", 180. But this dude, I don't know if you agree with me, I think he's the best playmaker in this draft. Him and Cade, but I think it's him. He's averaging 22 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, 9 assists, 8.8, but basically 9. That's correct, yeah. And then he's at about a steal a game. He's my comparison for him since watching him even in high school, but especially now, is Chris Paul. He's just so quick.
Interesting, yeah. Similar for him.
Yeah, quick and crafty. Like I already said, great playmaker. I think his teammates all love him, and he's definitely a winner and a great leader. Obviously, the improvement areas are defense. I don't think he's ever going to be great at that. I think he can.
No, he'll never be a plus defender with that frame.
I mean, we say that, but look what Chris Paul has done. I mean, I guess those guys
His IQ is like something we've never seen before.
I know. Yeah.
I'm not sure we'll ever have a guy like Chris Paul.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that.
But that's the ceiling with him.
Those guys at that size, it's just so hard for them to be plus defenders. Look at Trae Young. I mean, he's like arguably the worst in the league.
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas. Like it's hard for those guys. Now, one of his improvement areas is finishing over bigger players. With that said, he's actually a great finisher at the rim for his size, and I think that's going to help him a lot. You said for his projected role, his playmaking point, I think it's Michael Jordan. No. I just want to see him on this team, man. I want him to be the main.
Pretty good if he was Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I just want to see him. I just want to see. This is where the bias comes out here. I want to see Sharif Cooper and Shea and Dort. That's all I want.
Yeah, I do like the pick. Him and Shea, pairing them two, they're obviously guys that make their teammates so much better. Like we've seen Shea overachieve with this Thunder team that has very little talent, if we're being honest.
For sure.
And which it's a good thing that they're overachieving because that tells you a lot about how those guys are developing. And then you put Sharif Cooper in there, and he's able to make his teammates better and himself better by getting to the free throw line and passing to his teammates. So, yeah, Sharif Cooper at 8 to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I like the pick. And then at 9, I own this pick. Well, the Hawks own this pick, not me, but I had them taking James Bucknight, the scoring guard out of UConn, having a phenomenal sophomore season for them, averaging close to 23 points, over 6 rebounds a game, under 2 assists, which is kind of a red flag, and then 1.6 steals a game. His strengths, he can score at all 3 levels, great in the open floor, plays above the rim, great handle with a change of pace, which I love, and then defensive upside as well. He's got like a 7-foot wingspan, I want to say. So, and that obviously brings upside on the defensive end. And then his improvement areas, he has a streaky jumper at times, but he never hesitates to shoot, which is another thing I like. He can be inconsistent on defense and off the ball, and then his playmaking, obviously. I don't think he'll ever be a playmaking guard. But on an Atlanta team, I think
doesn't need to be that, right?
No, they need a scoring guard off the bench outside of Trae Young, and I think Bucknight is a perfect fit there.
Yeah, I mean, he's like you said. First of all, he's the first sophomore on the board.
Yeah, that's true. That's good.
He's having a great year. We didn't really see anything of him last year.
No, I've never heard of him.
Just came out of nowhere, and shout out to him for that, because 23 points a game, he's one of the leading scorers in the entire league, or entire NCAA, so shout out to him. There's not a lot more to say about him. I mean, I think he would be a really good pick for Atlanta. I mean, they're just starting to stack up on guards and forwards, but
he reminds me a little bit of Colin Sexton coming out of the draft.
Yep.
He can be kind of that guy.
Except he's 6'5", so
yeah,
like, there's a big difference there. Like, he could be a lot.
Which makes more upside.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on here with the New Orleans Pelicans, I have the 10th pick. Well, they do. But we have them taking Moses Moody, 18-year-old shooting guard out of Arkansas, 6'6", 205 pounds. He's averaging 18.6 points a game, six rebounds, 2 assists, and about a block, or a steal a game and almost a block. I admit something about Moses Moody, Chance.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of scouting on him the last week or so.
Okay.
I thought he was a center.
Really?
I knew nothing about Moses Moody, because I don't know if I just thought.
Are you thinking of Moses Brown?
Yes, that's who I was thinking of.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was getting that really confused.
Where is that guy, by the way? I don't know. What happened to Moses Brown? Is he still in college?
No. I really want to say.
Is he in the G League probably or something? Maybe
No. He plays for. He's on a 2-way contract with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
You didn't know.
But he plays for the G League team. He plays for the Blue, which I don't watch them, and he has not been brought up yet.
I don't blame you either.
But I kind of knew that. That's why I looked it up to make sure. But I think I was getting Moses Malone. I don't know. Anyway, back to
anyone but Moses Moody, the shooting guard.
Yeah. But yeah, he's having a great year for them. Some of his biggest strengths are his length. He's super athletic, and he's one of the better defenders in the draft. Thinks he could improve on his rebounding and I guess his creativity. And yeah, he's not extremely efficient. We had his projected role as a scoring guard, so maybe nothing crazy in the league, but a really good role player.
Yeah, that's kind of the spot we're getting at in this draft, where guys that you're not going to run your franchise through, but could have a really impact on a good team.
Yeah.
So that moves on to number 11, and we're probably going to do these last 4 picks pretty quickly here, but the Chicago Bulls, I have them taking Jaden Springer, the 18-year-old guard out of Tennessee, averaging 18 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, just under a block, and stealing half a game. He's played really well for an 18-year-old in Tennessee.
Yeah.
He's shown an ability to score, and then he's super athletic as well. So I like his upside for a Chicago team that could use a little bit more playmaking and scoring off the bench, because I don't think Satoransky's getting the job done, or Denzel Valentine.
Tomas, he's struggling, man. You gotta love him though.
Yeah.
But at 12, we had a guy that we actually almost didn't have on here, which would have been somewhat controversial. But we had the Indiana Pacers taking Keon Johnson.
I don't think those are the right stats either. Keon's averaging 23. He's one of the best players in the country.
Yeah, okay.
He's actually the most athletic guard in college basketball right now.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I believe you. But yeah, 6'5", 186 out of Tennessee, only 18 years old. That's just really good about him, right? I mean, what else do we have to say? Like you said, he's
high upside,
freak athlete.
Could be a really good scorer.
I knew he was a freak athlete. I didn't know he was scoring.
I think he has a higher upside than Springer.
How much did you say he was putting up right now?
Like 23.
Okay, I had no idea that he was doing that well.
He's hooping.
Yeah, for sure.
A couple of Tennessee guards going back to back. And then at 13, I had New York taking Franz Wagner, which is pretty high for him. But there's a reason that I have New York.
You're a Michigan fan.
Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
Well, I think he fits the mold of a Knick player. He's really gritty, and he's really good on the defensive end. Is what I'm trying to say.
I understand.
And New York has obviously built their identity all on defense, and Franz Wagner does it. And then on the offensive end, he's been really good this year as well. He loves attacking the basket. much like a lot of the other guys on their team. And then he can space the floor as well. He's like, this is funny, but he's like the small forward version of his brother, Mo Wagner.
Yeah. I mean,
Actually, I take that back. He's better on defense than Mo Wagner is.
But Mo Wagner was really good in college, so, I mean...
And he's doing his thing for Washington, too.
I guess.
You're a Washington hater. You think they're so bad, but they're actually hooping.
They're getting better, okay, but they just really disappointed me this season.
Michigan's winning the national title, by the way. I know you heard it here first, but in the Big Ten title.
I think Michigan State has a chance.
In the NIT? Yeah. Which probably won't happen.
It's a tough year for us, man. I mean, it's rough. Not only are we awful, but our enemies happen to be really good. It's bad all around.
Who do you got with the last pick?
Yeah, Memphis taking Corey Kispert. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. 6'7", 224 out of Gonzaga. He's averaging 23 a game with 5.7 rebounds, 2 assists, almost a block a game, and 1 steal.
Dude, they got him, Drew Timme, and Jalen Suggs. That's crazy.
Memphis is like really risen these last few years, right? Like,
not Memphis, Gonzaga.
No, Gonzaga. That's what I meant. Like within like the last few years, like we were talking about Gonzaga earlier. I'm trying to think, like 2015, 14, they started playing really good. I don't know. Whenever the year that they made the championship.
They've always been the best team in their conference.
Yeah, but who else is in there? Yeah, but my point about Gonzaga is like they always have hoopers, and another guy here with Corey, but
he's the best shooter in the lottery for sure.
Yeah.
And then he has a high basketball IQ and then can defend as well. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't have a super high ceiling, but he's a guy that's going to be a rotation guy on a really good team someday. So I have Memphis taking him and pairing him with Desmond Bane, who's also a similar kind of player. And can't have enough 3-and-D guys, right?
No, that's what the league is going towards these days. You just need one of those guys at all times.
Yeah, and that wraps up our Mock Draft 2.0.
Yeah.
If you did enjoy, drop a like and hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 100 subscribers. What are you smiling?
Nothing, man. I'll tell you later.
Are you just happy thinking about how this video is going to get even more than the last Mock Draft?
Yeah. That's all it meant. You guys, it's going to be 6.
It's a high task. We're going to have to go from 3 to 1,000.
I expect 6,000 views by the end of the week.
That's nothing
crazy.
Anything crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, it is. It's not gonna happen.
No, yeah.
Never say never.
Never. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a good one.
Check out our links in the description, like our socials and all that.
Yep.
But
Peace out.
Peace out.